Good afternoon. There's a hashtag online, and the hashtag is on play Kenyan music. Kenyan artists are complaining that local outlets, TV stations, the radio stations, they don't play their music. Now, if they don't play their music, then the music artist won't make money. If they can't make money, then they can't eat, and they cannot also, uh, also grow their talent, because they need to sustain that growth with some cash. So I thought that I should look at this topic today and see if their cause or their arguments are valid or not valid. Again, I am not a musician. I am just trying to analyze this industry and see if perhaps you can learn something from it. So the MCSK, right, the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, it said back in 2015 that the music industry in Kenya is worth 200 billion. That's a lot of cash. Actually, that's kind of like the Eurobond was worth 250 billion Kenyan shillings. So the music industry in itself, it's like a Eurobond, and that's yearly. So imagine if we have like a Eurobond every year, if we take care of this industry and grow it as much as we can. So that was MCSK. Now PwC, in a report, right, in 2015, it said that the music industry is worth 189 billion, lower than the MCSK value, but still close, as in still loads of cash. And PwC actually says that it will grow by to 347 billion, right, shillings by 2019. So that's a whole load of cash if we take care of this industry well, and if the flows move to the right people. So I just wanted to mention something. You can see the rasters, right? So I had to mention Jamaica. So the Minister of Culture, Entertainment and Sport in Jamaica, she said that the most valuable export that Jamaica has is its reggae music, right? And it impacts the society so much that it cannot be ignored. It's the most valuable export according to the stats that they have. I think contributing about 5% of GDP. So music can actually sustain a huge number of people, and it can actually improve the economy greatly, right? It can be the most valuable export, and in Kenya we can still do that. We can stop talking about figures like 200 billion. We can actually move to a whole lot of money, right? But we're not doing that. As I started studying the music industry, as I said, I'm not a musician, right? So I started studying this industry, and in my opinion, it's a mess. It's just a mess. I noticed a couple of problems. These are subjective analysis, right? That is a focus on the wrong area. Kind of like musicians are now complaining that they are not receiving airplay on TV and on radio, right? But the world is moving away from TV and radio. So you kind of like they're complaining, true, and perhaps their complaints are valid. They're not being played over there, but their focus should be on whatever is coming, the new thing that's coming. Because even the TVs and the radios, they'll have to adapt to the new system that's coming. So anyway, global sales in physical sales of music like CDs and everything, it plummeted. Global sales in digital sales, like it kind of like streamlined, and then there was piracy, so it wasn't that good. But what saved the industry and led to a lot of growth was streaming, right? Because the number of subscriptions quadrupled between 2014 and 2017 for music streaming. So that's kind of like the trend that's going on. It's music on demand, and I think that's the way to go. Spotify and all those other things. So perhaps I believe that the fight should be over there, because even the TVs and the radios will go there, and they'll have to fight it out somehow with those guys. So anyway, I also noticed that there's the focus on the wrong market. I got some data from the MCSK, and this is what the MCSK says. Musicians who appeal to rural or low income demographics are some of the biggest royalty earners, right? But most of the people, even if when you go online, right, there are most of the complaints, they're coming from people who do a lot of, let's say, hip hop kind of things, a lot of okay, I'll just call it yo-yo. a lot of yo-yo kind of things, right? Yo man, all those kind of things. They do not appeal to the rural or low income earners, right? And so when you're fighting to receive more airplay and then you do not appeal to the wide mass of people, honestly, you're just wasting the radio and television people's time, because they need to focus on where the market is, and it's not with the urbanized kind of youth. It's the low income and the rural people, but everybody's kind of like yo-yo, focus on the wrong market and still complaining. Okay, the lack of specific data. I try to look for data in this industry, I cannot find it. Okay, I did economics, so there's a lot of focus on data. When you argue, you have to put stats here, stats there, so that to support your argument, and so that you can actually make changes, manipulate the variables that led to that data. So I noticed that in the music industry, there's a lack of specific data. For example, right, the musicians want their music played on Kenyan television and radio, and yeah, I think those are the main mediums. But do they have a study, right, that shows 60% of Kenyans want to hear Kenyan music? Do they have a study for that? Because when you're arguing that we want to be there, but you don't have the stats that will support you being there, then what are you doing? Honestly, it's just, you need to make a product that people would want, right? And then now you go to the distributor and tell him, put this product on the market, and entice him to do that with the statistics. But if you don't have the statistics, then it doesn't really work. Again, you can actually continue with the stats. For example, the stats can tell you that Kenyans want to hear foreign music, right? Then you ask them, why do you want to hear foreign music? Is it because that you don't know any Kenyan artist, or you don't hear Kenyan artists, or perhaps Kenyan music is bogus, right? What is the reason, right? When you get those reasons, then now you can modify your music, or you can tell this, like the media houses, 80% of Kenyans want to listen to our music, but they do not have access to it because you guys are playing foreign music. You get, that's how you argue. That's how it's done in my opinion, that's how it should be done in the business world, right? So I just wanted to give another example. We say that those who earn the most royalties, they appeal to the rural or to the low income earners, according to the MCSK, not according to me, right? And I always had this thought, look at the reggae industry, right? Reggae is all over the country. Most people, I think the majority of people, they listen to it, right? The urbanized people, they don't like it, whatever. There's a lot of discrimination against it. But at the end of the day, if you put up a reggae station, it's highly likely that you'll get viewers or listeners or something of that sort. When I look at, like, there's a song called What In We Gain. I think it's by Victor Ad in Nigeria. This is a song about, it's a hustler's anthem. I hate a hustler's anthem in Nigeria. When I heard it, I'm thinking this should be a hustler's anthem in Africa. Where is a hustler's anthem in Kenya? So if we play that song by Victor Ade or something, then would that be wrong? Because you haven't given us a hustler's anthem, right? People listen to reggae because they have problems. There are high number of people of Kenya who live below poverty. So are you guys making songs for these people to uplift them? Why do you think the reggae music industry in Nigeria is so good? Because people want to give solace to their hearts. Are you giving solace to our hearts? Are you addressing our issues? Tanzanians, they do a lot of storytelling. Where is the storytelling in Kenyan music? Like Professor J, Zaliza Mentali, even if you listen to that song, it's a very nice song. Even if you stop singing to it and then just go with the flow, go with the story, right? Where are our storytellers? Okay, let's go to gospel music. Why is gospel music doing so well in Kenya? Because they have a message for the people. But when you go to secular, like, music in Kenya, all you have is Dundaing. Then, okay, respect to Calligraph, he knows how to rap, but all this talk about being the real old G, as in, honestly, who does it appeal to? Because people are trying to get some bread. You're talking about being the real old G. Then there's Kufa Jew. I don't understand that song. I don't club, so perhaps I don't know these things, right? But I'm just saying that Even if people request a song, they'll request it for 1, 2, 3 days, and then you'll fall out. So it will be a year until you get another song. But those songs that have a message, they maintain. Those songs that have a story, they maintain. Are you giving us those songs? So I believe that when musicians, they go for the data, right? This data will show them that Kenyans do not actually have a problem with Kenyan music, but they do not request it as such because there's some elements missing in it. Okay, I think I've focused on that a lot. Again, another problem that I've noticed when I go and research about the music industry, there are so many bodies. There's so many bodies dealing with this one industry, and it's not just, let's say, the entertainment industry, it's the music industry. Just there's the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, there's the Performers Rights Society of Kenya, there's the Kenya Association of Music Producers, there's the Premium Rate Service Providers. NEMA is somehow involved. Somehow. There's the Permanent Presidential Music Commission, right, that established in 1988. There's the Kenya Copyright Board, which is a state corporation. And then I think this one is an oversight body. There's the Communications Authority of Kenya. And these are just the ones that I could get in sort of like the hour that I had to research. There are so many. What are they doing here? And now, going to the problems identified by the Permanent Presidential Music Commission. Again, this is just a small commission. I think what it does mostly is that it does like the events, the national events, organizing people to come and sing for the president, all of those things. This body actually had the figures or the challenges that the music industry faced. MCK, whatever, those other bodies, they don't have this kind of, they don't have data, they don't have coherent reports. So anyway, I took the problems in the music industry from the PPMC, which is kind of like the small one among these other bodies. So one of the problems they noticed was fragmentation and mistrust in the industry. Yes, mistrust in the industry. Can you imagine people saying that there's mistrust in the health industry or there's mistrust in the finance industry? I said the music industry has a big problem, because if mistrust is a problem within, it's just too much. It means that there's, again, what I noticed about when I was doing my research is that most of people have blogs, a lot of people have blogs, and usually they have feelings and opinions and things on those blogs. The data is missing. And I think the way the music industry needs to improve, especially the way they argue. You guys need to have data, right? And they need to have proper structured arguments. Feelings, opinions, they need to move aside. That's my opinion. So coming to fragmentation, right? Rose Ongati, a music lecturer at Maseno University, she says that the government needs to streamline the structures in the music industry. And if they do that, then the industry will become more profitable and more attractive. How do you get into an industry where you're dealing with so many people? These guys are supposed to be collecting some cash from let's say from us, from people like me, right? Who are listening to music and all of those things. But then there are multiple people collecting. So do you expect that everybody will receive their fair share? A lot will be lost. We'll speak about a lot is being lost. So there's mistrust in the, so that was fragmentation. They need to streamline structures, like Rose Ongati says. And then there's mistrust, which is I've never heard of mistrust being a problem in an industry, but the music industry in Kenya will surprise you. So there's widespread unhappiness with MCSK. I understand why, because that body is doing a lot of problems. The board of director, I think some time back, his name was Bernard Mwikasi. He was suspended for 30 days for gross misconduct and abuse of office. There was somebody else called Maurice Okoth. He was cleared of criminal charges by a Nairobi court. He was charged with misappropriation of loyalties and lack of transparency. And then he was suspended in March. After some time, he resigned back in the day. So there's a lot of intrigues going on in the music industry. And as I said, when you have too many bodies, when you have people don't have like structured ways of presenting the argument, a lot of data is not available, then these are the things that will happen. People will find ways of playing around with your cash, and they'll take your money, right? A divided house cannot stand. You guys need to unite. Too many bodies. Okay, so another problem noticed by the PPMC, the Permanent Presidential Music Commission, was natural attrition of traditional musicians. So what does attrition mean? Like in this case, it means that people are dying, people are retiring, and nobody is replacing what is being lost as they go away. And here there's a specific focus on traditional music. In another way of putting it is that our culture is dying. Our music culture is dying. And there's nobody replacing it. Because PPMC also adds there's the slow preservation of intangible knowledge in their art. Because there's something that you cannot touch. It has to be felt or things of that sort. It's intangible. And they're dying off or they're retiring off with it. Nobody's taking over. And that is a very dangerous trend. And that is perhaps why people are feeling that they should adopt other cultures, because there's no depth in our music anymore. Because as these people go, nobody is replacing them. And I think that's a very, very serious issue. And it shows why people are saying, Tanzanian music has a lot of, it's cultured. It's like kind of like African. When you go to Nigerian, you can actually feel the African whatever in it. When you come to Kenya, it's dundaing, it's being the real OG, and those other things that people do, right? Joseph Kamaru passed away. Bruce Odhiambo passed away. Who is taking over, and who are the apprentices that they left? And when those apprentices go, who will they leave? A natural attrition of traditional musicians. It's a big problem. And I think it's one of the biggest problems that we might have in this industry, right? There's an absence of code of conduct and coordination. Again, you can't coordinate well when there's so many people around. So even if you guys have an objective, reaching that objective is a bit difficult because there are so many entities and so many interests. And Kenya, we also know there's a lot of corruption. So imagine having so many bodies, so much corruption, and so many interests. You can't coordinate properly. So when you're fighting for your rights, it won't work, right? There's low royalty collection, which is true. And I want to focus on one thing. I want to focus on Skiza just for a bit, right? Safaricom, I think this was in 2015. It released 152 million to artists, right? Most of them was through royalty as part of the Skiza tunes, right? So at that time, there's one artist, just one artist, who got paid 20 million for a single song. 20 million. So 152 minus 20, that's 132 for the others. One of them got 20 million. And as we've had, those guys who appeal to the rural community or to the low-income earners are the ones who get the most royalties. So if you're complaining and you are not appealing about low royalties and you're appealing to the wrong people, then honestly, let's look at the data. Argue with the data. Okay, so Safaricom has a foothold on those, it's called Rimback tunes, right? It used to pay 75 cents daily per... Okay, somebody who has that callback tune, they'd pay 75 cents daily. I'm not sure if that's the rate that's still continuing right now, because I don't have the Skiza tune. I'll support you guys later, right? Or even later. So anyway, so before, the 7.5% of what Safaricom was collecting from the artists, from the royalties of this Skiza, 7.5% was going to the artist. As in, honestly, 100%, only 7.5% is going to the artist, and it's their song. And I'm listening. As in, honestly, how does that happen? I believe that is unfair. Even from an overview reading, I know Safaricom will say that they need to maintain that technology, they need to recoup their investments or all those other things, but I don't believe that 7.5% is a fair. It's not fair, right? And you see, there were negotiations that were held and it was increased to 15%. And after some time, I think now it's around 20% because they were supposed to increase it to 17 and then to 20%, right? Perhaps it's even more than 20%. But you can see that they were getting 7.5%. And here there's talk or perhaps already implementation of 20%. Look at that difference. So it means that somebody was eating a lot, and it was not the artist. So when they actually say low royalty collections, it's a big problem. And guys are eating off these guys, honestly speaking. So anyway, that's Skiza. At that time, it had 5,000 registered members, right? And there were 10,000 musicians in Kenya. So what is happening to these other 5,000? Don't they know that Skiza is there? Don't they know the registration processes? What is happening? Why is the rate so low? Or perhaps they're getting low. Yeah. What's the problem? Why are they not registering on Skiza? It should be around 75% or 80%. That would be nice. So anyway, only at that time, only 11,000 songs were on that platform in the entire country. As in, honestly, only 11,000 songs. So if we have like 5,000 artists, it means that only 2 songs per artist. What's the problem? Why aren't people taking up these things? And we have seen that the physical sales of stuff, of music is dropping. People are moving towards digitization. But Kenyans, they're not taking it up. Is it a problem with Skiza? Is it a problem with the artist? Don't they know stuff? Or any? People need to investigate that. Again, like I said, there's a focus on the wrong market. People are focusing on TV and media and all of those things, whereas here, only 5,000 have registered when there were 10,000 musicians around the country, estimated. So anyway, so again, low royalty collections, another problem cited by the PPMC. Let's go to focus on TV and radio, where the musicians right now are really pounding, right? Matatus, imagine matatus. Venues and DJs, they're paying more than broadcasters. If you're a DJ, you need to get angry. You guys combined with the matatus and venues, you guys are paying more. Can you imagine that? You guys are paying more than the broadcasters. AMCSK, it collects 1.37 per shilling in bars, matatus, and venues. 1.37 per shilling spent. Yeah. So if you spend let's say, yeah, MCSK collected only 1.73 per shilling spent in bars, venues, and matatus. Anyway, they collected from bars and all those guys. And this cash amounted to more than what the broadcasters give. Because of the 360 million MCSK collected the previous year, I think this was 2014, only 60 million came from broadcasters. Only 60 million. So 300 million came from other sources, including matatus, venues, and DJs, right? Are you guys angry? You need to get angry. So they say that nowhere else in the world does this happen, where broadcasters pay the least. It does not happen. They actually say that there were 370 radio and TV stations in Kenya. Only 40 paid royalties. Only 40 of them paid royalties, right? PwC says that 88 billion, the TV and radio, they will collectively, they will bring 88 billion into the entertainment industry by 2019. So how much of this cash will artists get, Kenyan artists? That's just another thing. Anyway, there's something I also wanted to add about the broadcasters, and this has to do with business, right? Broadcasters have cited problems as well, because you can't just tell somebody you're not paying. Look at their problems. Are they citing something, right? So they have said that the tariffs are a bit high. They want them reduced, right? And this has been the response from some of the guys, I think from MCSK. They just said, just top it up on the advertisers, and the advertisers will pay. Business does not work like that, and Kenyans need to we need to recognize that when you just go out adding taxes, fuel tax, you add tax on this, on transactions, you add tax, it has an impact on the economy, right? and you need to study that impact before you introduce it. Like if these guys are complaining the tariffs are too high and you're telling them, just put it on the advertisers, it has an impact on their business. And if they resist, then at least you need to understand why they are resisting. Because at the end of the day, they need to work based on a reality. They can't work based on idealism, just add to the advertisers. If it's affecting their business, you guys need to listen and perhaps drop lower the tariff. Again, imagine if it's cheaper to play foreign music than to play Kenyan music. Because perhaps when you play Kenyan music, you have to pay this tariff, but when you play foreign music, you don't have to. I don't know if that's the case, but you would see then why they would actually prefer playing foreign music. Because I think DJs were complaining some time back that they're being harassed about royalties, right? So they just said, we'll play foreign music. There's business and there's a response to business and how it works. So you guys need to understand if their complaints are legitimate. So anyway, just trying to move fast. So these guys have to comply in two ways, right? The first one, they have to pay tariffs, royalty. The second way is that they have to, 40% of their music has to be local. And then when it comes to advertising, 60% has to be local within, by I think 2019. So even if the royalties are high, and then you guys are forcing this case to have a specific content within their music, right? Yeah, what happens is that you might be pushing them into a corner because you're pushing them to increase their content of local music, but perhaps it's more expensive for them to have that local music. So there'll be resistance if that is the case. Anyway, trying to finish. MCSK, it spends a lot on expenses. It collected 360 million some time back, I think 2015. I'm mostly using 2015 statistics. The expenses were 208 million. 58% were expenses. So they had 126 million to pay, right, in royalties. And most of it went to 23 people. So the rest, they got an average of 7,000 per artist for the whole year. So again, low royalties. It has an impact on the music industry. And MCSK, the overhead that are affecting those guys. So anyway, there's a high level of piracy, right? Again, another problem cited. 80% of the music in East Africa is pirated, right? Guys are trying to fight those piracy, but their methods are ineffective because these guys are focusing on piracy in terms of physical CDs and all those things. Those things will die out naturally, right? Again, remember the natural occurrence of things, right? Because even TVs, they need to move to the digital world. So if you're focusing on TVs and medias to play your things, you can only focus on them for a while, but the movement is on the other side. So if you're fighting piracy in terms of physical sales of CDs and whatever, it won't really work because now we are moving to the digital age, and that's where your focus needs to be, right? So anyway, that's just a piece of advice that I'd want to give these guys. It's called Kobo. It's a state corporation. It's the Kenya Copyright Board. Again, we have so many boards. So Mdundo is one of the platforms where people are trying to reduce these rates of piracy. You can get 20 songs, you can get 5 songs for 100 bob. That's 20 shillings per song. So you can do that, or you can get it free online. Pirate. 20 shillings per song, I think it's a bit expensive when it's a digital kind of song. But that's my opinion. I don't know. I don't know. But perhaps that's my opinion. And then it's a process, you have to. But if they can lower that thing, again, appeal to the rural or to the low income earners, appeal to them, and these things will work, right? Those guys who focus on real OG, they focus on Kufaju, Dundai, they might afford this kind of cash, but those other guys, they won't. So just lower your rate for the other guys. And the other guys, they would actually buy because they're looking for that message, for hope, for a story to tell, things of that sort. Drop-in music as an examinable subject in primary schools was a problem, cited by PPMC. I also believe that it's a problem because now students, the teachers, they won't focus on it even if you put it there. If it's not examinable, they'll spend their time focusing on examinable subjects. So the new curriculum, it introduced psychomotor and creative activities in pre-primary, movement and creative activities in lower primary, and upper primary they have creative activities. Okay, creative activities, I don't know. I've just put it out. Perhaps music is among them, but I don't know. And even if it's among them, is it examinable? So if it's not examinable, then we're not solving a problem cited by the PPMC when it comes to the music industry in Kenya. Okay, just about to finish. The high cost of musical instruments and equipment in Kenya. We impose a tariff of 10% per kilogram of music equipment imported. That's a common East African tariff, right? The president wants to abolish taxes on music equipment, which would make them cheaper. Producers would benefit a lot. I believe that we need to reduce taxes across the board, because if you reduce taxes on musical equipment, but the taxes are still high on the people, who will buy it? Who will buy it? So taxes should be reduced across the board. Yeah, and then yeah, I think that would be okay. There's the lack of proficiency training in vocational institutions. Like people don't train people in music, in all those things. So we need to improve that training. So anyway, I'm not a musician. I've just compiled this data. I hope that I've done it coherently, because honestly, there's a lot of incoherent data within the music industry and a lack of data. The arguments are mostly based on feelings and opinions and not on actual arguments, defensible arguments. So anyway, there's a problem on, yeah, I think once the data improves and the arguments improves, this industry will kick off, and it will kick off well. And MCSK is a big problem. So anyway, that's what I had today. You guys take care, and I will see you guys on Monday at 5 p.m. God bless. Bye bye.